Hello, students, and welcome back to class. Let's continue our work with logarithms today. Before we get started, let me congratulate you on what a great job you're doing. None of us signed up for an online class, and yet here we are. You're doing great. You're working hard. You're turning in a ton of assignments. You're doing a great job of showing your work. Keep up all that good work. We know that logarithm problems are very closely related to exponent problems. Let's practice some exponents before we get started on our logarithms. To be good at doing logarithm problems, you have to be able to do exponent problems in your head. Can you do each one of these in your head? Of course, 4 squared just means 4 times 4. 3 squared is 9. 10 times 10, 100. And 7 squared is 49. Most of us are very good with second powers. Do you know your third powers in your head? 2 to the third power is 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 3 to the third power, 3 times 3 times 3. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. 4 to the third power is 4 times 4 times 4. That's 64. People who get good at logarithms know these numbers by heart. They know that 3 cubed is 27, and that 4 to the third power is 64, and that 2 to the fourth power is 16. That's 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. And 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, 81. These numbers tend to come up over and over again. Squaring fractions is easy. You square the top, you square the bottom. 2 squared is 4. 3 squared is 9. 2/3 squared is 4/9. Do the same thing with a cube. 2 to the third power, I know, is 8, while 3 to the third power is 27. 2/3 cubed is 8/27. 3 cubed is 27. 4 cubed is 64. So 3/4 cubed is 27 over 64. These exponents will all pop up over the course of the lesson and your homework. To get good at logarithms, we want to remember that logarithms are just another way of organizing the information in an exponent problem. In exponential form, this says what exponent changes 5 into 25. 5 squared is 25. Logarithmic form shows the same information. What exponent changes 5 into 25. 5 squared is 25. In exponential form, 25 is what you get when you take 5 to the second power. In logarithmic form, 2 is the exponent that changes 5 into 25. Here are 3 nice examples of what your homework is going to look like. In each one, you're supposed to solve for x. In the problems today, the x could be here, the x could be here, the x could be the base. Some of you are already getting good at logarithms, and if you can look at these problems and simply write down the answer, x equals answer, simply write down the answer, x equals answer, then you don't have to show any work on these. You simply write down the problem and put the answer underneath it. If you're not that good at logarithm problems yet, well then let's try rewriting these logarithmic problems in exponential form. Here's how you do it. In exponential form, 3 is the exponent that goes on that 4. 3 is the exponent that changes 4 into x. We'll do that each time. This number becomes the exponent, the 4 is the base, the x goes over here. Now there's a problem I can do in my head. I know 4 to the third power is 4 times 4 times 4. That's 64. Why is 64 the correct answer? Because 3 is the exponent that changes 4 into 64. Let's try number 2. If you can look at this problem and know what the answer is, write x equals answer and you're done. If not, let's translate this one again into exponential form. Remember, this number is the exponent that goes on that base. This x is the exponent that goes on that base. X is the exponent that changes 10 into 100. Each time, this number is the exponent, this number is the base, this number goes here. But now that's a problem I can easily do in my head. What's the exponent that changes 10 into 100? I know 10 times 10 is 100. That's 2. 10 squared is 100. Why is 2 correct? Because 2 is the exponent that changes 10 into 100. This time the variable is the base. If you can do it in your head, great. If not, let's translate it into exponential notation. I know this number is the exponent that goes on that base. This 2 is the exponent that goes on that x. Can you find? I need a number so that if I take it to the second power, I get 36. What number to the second power gives me 36? I can do that in my head. I know 6 times 6 is 36. Why is 6 correct? Because 2 is the exponent that changes 6 into 36. Let's try 3 more. If you like, pause the video and try these on your own, and then we'll work them through together. All right, let's try them. Can you do this one in your head? Can you find the exponent that changes 3 into 81? If not, then let's translate it into exponential notation. I know that this is the exponent that goes on that 3. X is the exponent that changes 3 into 81. All right, I can do that in my head if I think about it for a second. How many times do I multiply 3 times itself to get 81? 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27, times 3 is 81. Answer's got to be 4. Because 3 to the 4th is 81. 4 is the exponent that changes 3 into 81. If I was going to try to do this one in my head, well, 4 has to be the exponent that changes some little number into 16. Let's rewrite it in exponential form. That 4 is the exponent that goes on that x. 4 is the exponent that changes x into 16. Can you find a small number that you can multiply times itself 4 times and end up with 16? Well, I know 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, that's 16. Answer must be 2. It's 2 because 2 to the 4th power is 16. It's 2 because 4 is the exponent that changes 2 into 16. Let's try number 6. If I rewrite this in exponential form, here's how it'll look. That 2 is the exponent that goes on that 3. 2 is the exponent that changes 3 into x. This one's easy to do in my head. 3 squared, that's 9. Why is 9 the right answer? Because 2 is the exponent that changes 3 into 9. I encourage you to pause the video and try these 3 on your own. All right, now let's try them together. If I rewrite this one in exponential form. 3 is the exponent that changes x into 64. 3 is the exponent that goes on the x, changes it into 64. For a final answer, can you find a small number that you can multiply times itself 3 times and end up with 64? Well, 4 times 4 times 4 is 64. The answer's got to be 4. It's 4 because 4 to the third power is 64. It's 4 because 3 is the exponent that changes 4 into 64. This one's got a fraction. Let's see if we can do it by changing it into exponential form. Remember, 2 is the exponent that goes on that base. 2 is the exponent that goes on 2/5 and changes it into x. Well, that's easy to do in my head. I'll take 2 and square it. I'll take 5 and square it. 2 squared is 4. 5 squared is 25. Why is that correct? Because 2 is the exponent that changes 2/5 into 4 over 25. Let's rewrite number 9 in exponential notation. That's the exponent that goes on that 3. X is the exponent that goes on 3 and turns it into 27. How many times do you multiply 3 times itself to get 27? If I go 3 times 3 times 3, that's 27. That's 3 3s. X has to be 3 because 3 to the third is 27. X has to be 3 because 3 is the exponent that changes 3 into 27. All right, pause the video, try these 3 on your own, and then start the video back up and we'll work them together. Here we go. If you can do this in your head, you just write down x equals answer and circle it. On your homework, all you have to show is the original problem and the answer. If it helps to show the exponential notation in between, feel free to do that. Here's what the exponential notation would look like. Here's the exponent that goes on that 2. X is the exponent that changes 2 into 8. Well, I know 2 times 2 times 2 is 8, so that exponent must be 3. 2 to the third is 8. 3 is the exponent that changes 2 into 8. Here's another one with a fraction. Let's rewrite that in exponential notation. 3 is the exponent that goes on that 1/4. 3 is the exponent that changes 1/4 into x. For a final answer, take 1 to the third power and take 4 to the third power. 1 times 1 times 1, 4 times 4 times 4. Let's rewrite an exponential notation. There's the exponent that changes x into 81. 2 is the exponent that changes x into 81. What number, when you square it, gives you 81? Well, I know that 9 squared is 81. 2 is the exponent that changes 9 into 81. Got it. All right, your turn. Go work some problems and then meet me back here.